In the words of Stephen Harper, Jim Flaherty was the best finance minister in the world, but he did more than push federal finances back toward the black. He inspired many to join politics, including my next guest, orthopedic pediatrics, when she got a call from Flaherty himself, and more than a decade later, she is the federal labor minister and minister for the status of women. Dr. Kellie Leitch, my guest in Whitby, Ontario. Good morning, Dr. Leitch. Good to see you on this morning.
Great to see you this morning, Heather.
And we will talk about Jim Flaherty and his role for you and the legacy he leaves for your government and for Canada in just a second. But can we begin with what is the breaking news today, what we have been reporting from our Ottawa bureau, that his successor will be Joe Oliver, currently the Natural Resources Minister. Why is Joe Oliver the best man to take over from Jim Flaherty?
Well, Heather, I won't speculate on who the next finance minister will be, except to say that I'm very confident the prime minister will pick someone who will keep a steady hand on the helm, making sure that we're focused on the economy as this government has been. So looking forward, at least I'm looking forward to seeing who the new finance minister will be.
So precise questions about Joe Oliver are going to be a challenge then, if that's the case. But let me just ask, I mean, in terms of qualities, trust, continuity on the economic path the government has been on. I really liked how an unnamed source put it to the Star this morning. His appointment will not scare the horses. How important is that kind of, as I said, trust and continuity piece?
I think that for our government, and the Prime Minister has been very clear, we're focused on the economy, making sure that we're creating jobs for Canadians. And that steady hand that Jim Flaherty has had on the helm needs to be continued by someone who has the same qualities as Jim had, whether that be economic understanding or whether that be calm, cool, serenity in making tough decisions. That's the kind of person that we need.
We are reporting it is Mr. Oliver. You're not confirming that. But if it should be, as I put the if into my question to you, when he leaves Natural Resources, that's the portfolio that right now is looking after Keystone XL pipeline at a crucial stage in that issue's history, I guess, a crucial time as Washington decides what to do. How much of a void will that leave if someone else has to pick that up now, late in the game?
Well, look, we have an outstanding team of cabinet ministers and individuals in our caucus, a number of people that have an excellent understanding of what has happened in our natural resources across the country. And again, we'll have a steady hand there. So we have a large team, but we have an outstanding team with great qualities. Individuals that understand not just the oil sands, but also natural resources and their management across the country. As I said, I'm pretty confident with respect to the finance ministers being chosen, but I'm equally confident the Prime Minister will pick an outstanding new Minister of Natural Resources.
Let's talk about Jim Flaherty for a moment or two then. The public announcement yesterday of his resignation didn't take everyone by complete surprise, but the timing did surprise more than a few, in that he had made it clear that he wanted to be the one to bring the books to balance, and that was the plan to do that ahead of the election next year. So why did he not stay for that, to be able to be triumphant in the balancing of the books?
Well, I think Minister Flaherty has set the course. This is a person who's had outstanding public service, someone who's been focused on making sure that our fiscal house has been not only in order, but there's been a steady hand at the helm. And he's confident that going forward, that the government will stay on track to achieve that balanced budget in 2015. So I think, as one person mentioned, and I agree with, St. Patrick's Day is a fitting time for an Irishman to celebrate and to choose the next path.
There have been questions about acrimony, if I can use that, differences of opinion. Certainly he and the Prime Minister, Minister Flaherty and the Prime Minister, were presented as a team. But we know there were policy differences over things like the dates for the balanced budget, over income splitting notably. I have a little bit of piece of tape to play for you, Minister Leitch. When Jim Flaherty was speaking to our National Affairs editor, Chris Hall, he alluded to these differences. Here's exactly what he said. Let's listen to this together.
I think some of the other ministers are surprised sometimes that I debate with him, and so we don't always agree, no. But I can usually get him around to a point of view that I can live with.
So that surprised some, Dr. Leitch, in terms of admitting that we don't always agree, but I usually am able to sway the Prime Minister to my positions. But the fact that that became public, that he would air that publicly, surprised some and really got some thinking he's on his way out. How much acrimony really was there between Minister Flaherty and the Prime Minister?
I wouldn't call it acrimony. You know, I think every great leader has the individuals around him who will challenge him and who will ask tough questions. And then a consensus is reached and the team moves forward. And that's exactly the relationship that the Prime Minister and Minister Flaherty had, from my understanding. One where the Prime Minister could be challenged, but ultimately and always they came to a common understanding and moved forward as a team. And that's what was portrayed to the Canadian public. It was part of the reason why the public had such great confidence that our economy was being managed so well. A Minister of Finance, hand in glove, working with his Prime Minister, common cause, so that we as Canadians could be confident that our economy was being managed well.
We expect to hear that message leading into the next federal election, 2015, the scheduled date, on, as is the plan, we understand, a balanced budget. There won't be Jim Flaherty there to sell that budget, to make the pitch for re-election, Dr. Leitch, and he's certainly among the strongest ministers in cabinet, among the most trusted by Canadians. The fact that he will not be there to lead the economic platform to re-election, how much does that change the plan and the hopes?
Well, look, our leader, the person who has been the #1 voice for our government, is obviously the Prime Minister. He has been focused on making sure that the economy has been steadfast and that Canadians could have confidence in our economy. It's the reason why we have weathered the Great Recession so well here in Canada. He had an extremely strong finance minister in Jim Flaherty to make sure that he was carrying the message as well. And I'm confident that our new Minister of Finance will do exactly the same thing. Challenge our Prime Minister, but at the same time come together for a united front so that we can make sure that Canadians are confident in the direction that we're taking as a government, managing the economy and helping create jobs.
Dr. Leitch, thank you for the time this morning, as always. Kellie Leitch, Labour Minister, Minister for the Status of Women. Again, thanks very much.